Okay, right. I need to get this out in the open. So Luke has been since the second we finished recording the last episode, has taken it upon himself to roast me non-stop about the fact that I have gained a small amount of weight. A little bit of weight. I know you're watching this thinking, you look so good. Or you're listening and you're thinking, you don't sound like a fat guy. Do you think if you hear recordings of people, you can guess which ones are fat?
Oh, we should make that a game.
That's such a good game.
That's a great game.
I will do that.
Fat or slim.
Will that get us? If we do like a clipped version of that and put that on TikTok, will that get us cancelled? Is that fat phobic?
No.
No, we just have to not put judgment on the
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, as long as you don't go like, oh, that's a fat voice. Ugh. As long as you just stick to the facts.
Okay. I'm already getting stressed at the idea of this. Anyway.
Well, you wanted to do this.
Well, do you want to tell everyone your favourite story about me?
What, when you tried to have sex with me in Edinburgh?
No, I didn't try and have sex with you in Edinburgh.
You did try and have
that's
sex
also
with me in
not
Edinburgh.
the story.
Well, that's my favourite. That is my favourite story of you.
No.
I have literally no idea what my new favourite story about you is.
Your new favourite story was last week when we were having some lunch together and...
Oh yeah, no, that is my favourite story.
Yes.
That's really funny.
Exactly.
Sorry, you can't say I was roasting you. Okay, no, what actually happened was...
No, this
I
happened
came
and then
round.
you continued
No,
to roast
let
me
me tell you
afterwards.
the story. Yeah, well, I think it's fair because you did me a wrong. I came in and you said...
I did an accident.
No,
I didn't
for
do
the
anyone
past
wrong.
3 weeks, every time I've come in, you go, oh, I'm like, how are you, Sam? You go, oh, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And I'm always like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. I don't know. How do you feel about that? And you're like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. I'm like, cool. And then you made me some lunch.
You
and
don't
yourself
say,
some
oh,
lunch.
I'm sorry, how do you feel about that? Today, you said, oh, it's all gone to your belly, hasn't it?
Yes, that's because you said, and that's a fact.
Yeah, I know, but I just...
you've said
don't
that-
make out like you've been really, like, sort of kind and empathetic about
Well,
it.
don't make out that you're a victim, because every time I'm like, how are you? You're like, yeah, I don't care, it's fine. And then you slap your belly like a...
Well, I like slapping my belly.
A bowl full of jelly. So I think you display a lot of high self-esteem and contentment with your larger physique of recent. So I feel it's fine to tease you because I love you, and that's how some people like to express their love.
Okay, do you want to tell your story?
Yes. You made me a big bowl of lunch. Pasta.
Yeah, lovely, kind thing to do.
Yeah, it was very nice. And you ate yours, and then you showed me a graph of your weight journey, which goes up and down for the first few years, then gets a really strong up, which you are now at the peak of.
Yes.
Which is
Every
quite
week I'm
fun.
at the peak of it.
And
There's
then-
a new peak every week. It's like the stock market. They're like, whoa, we've never seen these numbers before. There's
a real boom in the fat business.
Yeah, it's a real
The
bull.
fat stocks are more than ever.
There's a real bull market on my stomach right now.
Buy now. And while I was reading that graph that you showed me, you said, I don't understand why I'm getting so big. I turn around and you are eating my bowl of pasta on the other side of the room. Like someone who just cannot control themselves. And then I was like, Sam, that's my pasta. And you were like, what? Oh no.
Well, you put your bowl of pasta down where I'd been eating before.
You'd already finished.
Even though I had already finished 2 bowls of pasta.
And also, the only reason I put my food down was because you put in my hand a phone with a graph of how fat you got. And then I turn around and you're eating my food. That is not acceptable behavior.
It wasn't.
If you were
was an
skinny,
accident.
if you were a skinny, slim boy, which actually you are, apart from your stomach and your love handles, but I like them. I like them.
Oh no,
I like
that's
'em.
horrible.
Why?
Because it's a horrible feeling.
I like them.
Well, I'm glad you like them. Like them from a distance.
Oh, you can touch me if you want.
Well, there's nothing there. There's nothing to touch. Nothing to get my hands around.
Who's shaming
you
who?
know these.
Oh, you know what? People do. Do you know? I actually overheard a lady say about me once.
Right.
This is a lady I
No,
fancied loads.
yeah.
And I'd actually had sex with her,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. And then I overheard her talking to another friend of mine in a club where she was like, "Why don't you go back with Luke again?" And she said, "There's not enough meat on his bones."
Right.
And I felt terrible.
Well, I'm glad.
What?
Because it's.
have a lovely girlfriend that still sleeps with
I'm
you.
glad that people who are like skinnier than me are also, given the amount of prejudice I face as a fat man.
What are you talking about?
I'm glad you also face prejudice. Don't grope me. This is so on camera. This is so entirely on camera. Okay, thank you. Maybe I'll announce maybe we can track our weight week to week on the podcast. So
you wanna do that?
You know I've got a Chicagoan accountability partner that I have a meeting with every Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided I needed someone to get my life in order. So I posted on Reddit and found a Chicagoan filmmaker who every week says, "Have you done what you said you were going to do and sort of go to bed on time and stop drinking beer?" I say no. And then that's the end of the conversation.
Is he like? Does he not? He doesn't hold you accountable then.
Well, what's he going to do? Fucking beat up my mum? What's he going to...
Well, maybe my fat shaming will make you lose some weight.
There was actually, to be fair, last week, because I was so... I did tell him that if I didn't do what I was going to do, I'd donate £100 to charity. And I was like, that's going to keep me accountable.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do that. So I just gave myself like really easy goals for the week because I don't want to have to... I don't want to do hard goals and not do them and have to give £100 to charity.
This is terrible.
I'd hate...
What?
I would hate so much to give £100 to charity. If someone's like, will you do this to better yourself and sort of have a better life and improve your health and like be happier and meet your goals, I'll be like, no. And if someone's like, will you do this so you don't have to give £100 to charity? I'd be like, yeah, absolutely, please.
Why do you hate charity so much?
I don't hate charity. Don't twist my words. I hate not having £100 that I have. How would you feel?
You're a greedy bad man.
If you were walking down the street, I'm not a greedy bad man. Don't call me fat in more ways.
You're greedy. You ate all my food.
Also,
You ate all my food. What do you
I didn't eat all your food.
You ate all my food.
First of all, I made you lunch.
That was very kind.
Okay. And I gave you a portion. And then I think that might have even been your second portion, maybe.
It doesn't
And there was
matter.
more left over.
You
And
gave
I
me a
accidentally
portion. No.
a little bite of your pasta.
Lost control of yourself. But once it's been assigned to me, it's my pasta. You can't do anything to it.
I just don't.
Even if it was very generous.
I don't
of
think
you.
that
it was
speaks
generous
of
of you.
gratitude.
I'm very grateful.
I think when you go to someone's house and they cook you a nice meal, and they feed you that meal, it only makes sense that in return you pick up the spoon and you feed it back into their mouth.
I bet people in charity won't even want your money because you're lorded over them like this.
I'm not.
Be like, are you grateful, little orphans?
What I do. This is my sort of bad. This is my sort of guilty. Not pleasure because it's not a pleasure. My guilty thing. What is it when you do something bad?
Why are you doing things that make you feel guilty and bad?
So the bad thing that I do is like people will be like, "Oh, do you want to donate money to the British Heart Foundation?" And I'll be like, "Well, that's probably not the most efficient use of my funds, is it? If I want to give to charity, I want my money to go as far as it possibly can. And I don't believe that the British Heart Foundation is going to save the most lives and have the biggest positive impact on the world of all the charities. So I don't give them any money, and then I don't give anyone any money because I haven't yet got round to the research.
You're just waiting to get all your calculations back before you start doing real amounts of good.
Yeah, I did used to have a monthly thing to charity, and then I realised I was going to try and become a full-time comedian, and I could not afford to.
You sure you weren't just paying that back into your own account? The way you like eating food.
The Greedy Sam charity. It's a charity. It's just my Monzo account where I save up for KFC.
Yeah. Sam's a hungry boy. He hasn't eaten in 35 minutes.
To be fair, I did the other day go, ooh, let's go to KFC. And you accompanied me to KFC. And as I was chowing down on a big thing of chicken, I don't think you were eating anything. Or maybe you were having like a salad or something stupid like that.
I had a chicken whopper. Is that what it's called?
A chicken whopper.
Is that a thing?
No, a zinger.
Zinger, that's it. I had a zinger.
I said, when's the last time you went to KFC? And you were like, the last time I accompanied you.
I'm a good friend.
And I was like, I've been so many times. I love going on the app. Every time you go on the app, and then they
You don't love going on the app because you get furious.
Well, no, because sometimes you win.
Storm around. You storm around the KFC, going, shit, fuck! It's not. I want my fucking zinger. Why? Why?
Wait, why? What was the problem? What was
I have no idea because I don't have the app. You're literally like, oh, it's like going on a gambling fruit machine, and then you get really mad.
So you get to
angry.
do like a pinball. I might have been. Was I actually mad, or was I being mad for?
No.
Comic
I think that's the most angry I've seen you. The 2 times I've gone to KFC with you.
I don't believe a word of that. I don't think that could possibly be true.
You're not an angry man.
No.
Apart from when the pinball KFC app isn't working and you want to have 3 burgers.
I'm not an angry man, except when I can't get the food that I need.
It's fun hanging out with you.
When I did successfully lose weight, I was like, one of the ways I did it was like learning the difference between like emotional hunger and physical hunger, like desiring food and your body like telling you that you need food. And I think either today or yesterday I was like, I'm hungry to Laura, and she was like, are you like emotionally hungry or physically hungry, because we talked about this before. And I was like, I've not been physically hungry for 2 years. I've not even got close to being physically hungry for 2 years. I'm eating all the time. As much as I can.
How much do you weigh at the moment?
That's private.
But have you got to 100 yet? I want you to get to 100.
I'm not going to get to 100 stone.
Are you?
I am right now. I think I actually have lost about 300 grams since I last saw you. But that's probably, if I'm being totally honest, it's probably poo timing.
Do you weigh yourself tactically like that?
I weigh myself in the morning when I get up.
Yeah.
Boxers only. Occasionally nude, but nothing more. Oh, you know what? You know what I do is sometimes I will go stand on my scales, fully clothed, and depending on whether I'm in like an optimistic or a pessimistic mood, it will obviously show the weight as being too high. If I'm in a pessimistic mood, I'll be like, oh, that's probably how much I weigh. I'm so fat. Look at me. I've got even heavier. But if I'm in like a kind of delusional, optimistic mood, I will be like, well, these jeans are probably 6.5 kilos. And my Crocs must be at least a stone.
My lead underwear again.
So taking those all into account, I'm probably only about 120 pounds.
10.5 stone.
I'm about 92
you've
kilos.
got a slender face though.
Thank you.
And quite slender arms.
I've got very slender ankles.
Do you?
Yes.
Lovely. Yeah, but you just go straight to your gut.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say you don't really have tits either.
Oh, no, I do.
No, not like
they're
proper
on
tits.
they're on their way. I always think it's
You've got pubescent tits right now.
I always think when you see a sort of older guy with a huge beer belly, but like from the head up, like you wouldn't be able to tell they were fat.
That's what happened to my brother.
Really?
He's the same build as me, but he got fat once, and it all went to... Have you seen Sin City?
Yeah.
With the yellow man?
I can't remember the yellow.
The
man.
yellow man? Well, he looks like the yellow man in there.
Oh.
He's skinny everywhere,
Isn't
but
Sin
just
City
big.
black and white?
Yeah, except for the yellow man who's yellow. That's
Oh.
why he's very distinctive.
Oh.
And he's got a real pop belly. And
Right.
he's skinny everywhere else, and that's what my brother looked like.
What I always imagine is those guys like look in the mirror. They have like a tactical mirror that only goes down to their neck. They look in the mirror each morning and go, "Look good, looks good to me."
Still got
And
it.
then waddle off. I was going to do a magic trick on you earlier.
Yeah, go on then.
It might not work.
Go on, try.
But I just thought I'd save it for the podcast because if it does work, it's going to be really amazing. Although they probably won't believe it if it works. They'll probably think it's set up because it's going to be too good.
Go on.
Okay, it might not work. It will work. I forgot you have to be really confident or that it doesn't work. I'm probably going to cut this out, but you're editing this episode.
Oh.
I'm actually not going to do it. I'm too embarrassed.
Do you want to see my trick?
Yeah, show me a magic trick.
Over there.
What
You didn't know I was supposed to riz.
What?
I was rizzing you.
Oh, what? You were going to like
Yeah,
kiss
and then
me?
you freaked out.
That
I wasn't going to
horrible.
kiss you.
You're like grabbing me.
Yeah, that's what they do.
What?
They go, look over there. And they go, like, stop flinching.
It's scary. You're grabbing my
Stop
face.
flinching. Look
Okay.
over there.
I don't understand.
Look over there.
And then you put.
And then I pull you back.
Yeah.
Yeah? You,
What? So you
you
can
horny
kiss
now?
me? So for any listeners, he's telling me to look over there, and then he's grabbing my chin and twisting it back towards
It
his
looks really
face.
good when they do it on TikTok.
I don't understand. It doesn't feel.
Well, the
just-
people get all flustered and they're like, oh, and then it's sort of, I don't know, there's a lingering air of, let me try it again. Look over there. You like
no,
it?
I don't like it. It's horrible.
Maybe you just don't.
Imagine a card. Imagine a blank card in front of you. There's nothing on it. Just look at me. Just look at me.
Oh.
Just keep looking at me the whole time. Right. You got to imagine this card. It's totally blank for now, but then slowly and you got to get this really bright, really vivid in your mind. This card, really bright, really vivid, and then slowly you're gonna. The numbers gonna start to appear, and the little bottom number low down there, and the pips, the spots that in the middle, bang, bang, bang. All the card will start to appear really bright, really vivid in your mind. What card are you thinking of?
Ace of Spades.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. You got that wrong. Ace of Spades?
What?
It's not going to be Ace of Spades, is it?
Why not?
Do you think the magic trick is make someone think of the most obvious card?
Well, what was it supposed to be?
Not telling you. Not telling you. Not telling you. If you were watching, and a card like zonked into your mind, then email in and I'll tell you if it was right or not.
Oh, okay.
This was the problem is I when I was like 14 and quite into magic, I like didn't want to learn any tricks that like worked.
What?
Because I thought
What
they
do
were
you
like
mean?
I thought like tricks that like worked where you just like move their card to the top. I thought that was the equivalent of like a hack joke in comedy. Right? Because I was like, yeah, of course.
Oh, of course
that
the
joke's
card's
work.
correct. That's what we all expected.
Yeah. It's much better to do a trick that, like, actually probably won't work. But then if it does, how mad is that?
Wait, so you were like trying to actually do actual magic
Yeah.
instead of the tricks to
Yeah.
appear like magic.
It's from an old...
You must have been a bad magician.
Well, I wasn't like a magician. This is the one thing I was glad of. Like, when people talk about... I think quite a lot of, like, nerd comedians started out as magicians. But a lot of them...
Sergi Polo.
Sergi
Our
Polo,
friend,
Dan
and-
Tiernan, Daniel Kitson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But a lot of them were like put on the suit and tie, booked for kids' birthday parties, like going around school and doing it to people.
What were you? And
I was just like doing it in my room, and then occasionally I'd go down and do it with my mum, and she'd be really unimpressed, and I'd be like quite annoyed. I'd be like, "That was brilliant."
it didn't
That's
even
the thing.
work, Mum. You fucking idiot.
When I try and I think about, because obviously it's a thing that comedians' parents didn't give them enough validation or whatever. That's why they become comedians, because they seek it from another place. Right, that's quite
So
common.
you were just trying to get acknowledgement from your mother.
But I feel like, well, no, because I think my mum was quite validating. But anytime she wasn't, rather than go, oh, I'm a piece of shit and feel bad about myself and think I'm going to have to become a comedian, I'd be like, shut up, mum. I'm brilliant. That trick was brilliant. You're too thick.
Make me another pie, you stupid
Make me
woman.
another pie.
You sound like a horrible child.
I think I was occasionally a bit horrible. I did invite a friend over
I was
once,
never
and
cruel to my mum.
He said I was mean to my mum, and that made me feel bad.
Really? I was
Yeah.
never... I once called my mum a bitch, and that's the worst thing I ever did.
Really?
And
What had she done? I bet something absolutely rotten.
it was pretty bad. It was unfair. It was unjust.
Yeah.
I had done all my homework, and then she was like, all right, your homework's finished, you can like run away. And I like ran away, and then she was like, wait 1 minute, and I slipped on the step.
Yeah.
And she said, wait 1 minute, and she thought I was throwing a tantrum, and she was like, well, if you're gonna be like that, just go to your room. And I was like, no, I slipped on the step, you bitch. And then she chased me around the house. I was terrified.
But I think that's fair enough. She was being a bit of a...
She's being unfair. Yeah.
Being a bit... yeah.
That's the only time I was mean to my mum.
Apparently the first time I was mean to my mum...
Oh, actually, also, I put her in a headlock once and showed her some jujitsu moves.
Okay. Well, did she like that?
No, she hated it.
Right, like when you just jujitsu'd my chin a moment ago.
No, that was rizzing.
No. I called my mum a poo-poo monkey when I was a kid, and that apparently she was like, wow, it's begun. He's no longer my sweet little baby boy
Lost
anymore.
control. He's turned
He
into a
called me
beast.
poo-poo monkey.
Poo-poo monkey.
Apparently you started watching Better Call Saul this week.
Who told you that?
You told me that about 45 minutes ago.
Right. Need to work on my blabbermouth.
I
Yeah, I did. It's good.
can I? Well, I'm going to quickly say my perspective, and then I want to hear what you think.
Fine, go on.
Just really quick. So I loved Breaking Bad. Did you love Breaking Bad?
I love Breaking. Who doesn't?
I
love
was into Breaking Bad when it was coming out. I was a teenager. It was the best thing I'd ever seen. Amazing.
Yeah, Breaking Bad. Universally, is pretty much everyone loves it, right? It's great.
Yeah, and I really liked Saul, Bob Odenkirk's character, and then Better Call Saul started coming out, and I watched it, and I was like, this is really good, and it is a lot like Breaking Bad, but I was never, like, drawn to watch the next episode.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I think I watched maybe like 2 seasons, and everyone says it's incredible,
Yeah.
and it's obviously good, but I just found myself like the Breaking Bad was so thrilling,
Yeah.
and Better Call Saul, I just wanted to be as thrilling as Breaking Bad is, and I know it's doing something different.
Breaking
but I
Bad's just way. Breaking Bad's like the first episode. He's naked in the thing with a gun, about to kill himself, and a bunch of police officers.
Yeah, I just found Better Call Saul like it didn't grab my soul really ever. Like it never totally, which I'm sad about because.
But it's a
I was
different.
such a huge
it's a
movie
completely
fan.
different show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I
Anyway,
guess they're both character
You just
studies,
started
really.
watching it. How come it took you so long to watch it if you were such a big Breaking Bad fan?
Because I tried to watch the first season and I had the same problem you just said.
Okay.
I thought it was a bit like,
Right.
Well, but it is a slow build. But I'd say I've got into it now. I'm halfway through the second season. I'd say now I'm much more interested in it. But I do think it's much more. You got to go in being like, this is a careful character study of Saul Goodman, rather than like this is an action-packed, thriller.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the rest of it's going on. But I'm now kind of hooked because it's actually, I feel like they've made his character even better.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to enjoy it on that level. And there's some great scenes in it. Like there's a wonderful scene where it's like, and this isn't a spoiler, but I just think it's so brilliant, where it's like, there's like a button on the wall in his new office where he's working for a law firm, and it says, under no circumstances press this button.
Right.
And he just looks at it and immediately rips it off, presses the button,
Right.
then puts the sticker back on. And it's such a good, like, summary of his character.
Yeah.
He just can't help himself
What
in terms of
happens-
going for the adrenaline.
What happens when he presses the button?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We don't know. Or I don't know.
I want
Maybe
one
it
of
comes
those.
up later.
I want one of those for my house.
What, a mystery button?
And under no circumstances press this button.
Yeah.
If it's, but also like, I don't believe that. I don't believe in that button. Like, if it's under no circumstances press this button, don't have a button there.
Yeah.
Take the button off.
Maybe
Concrete over the button.
Maybe they can't do that.
There surely must be circumstances.
Well, I don't know.
My there's a board game called Risk Legacy where you like find new sort of cards and stuff as the game goes on, and apparently if you take out the like insert, the like cardboard base that holds all the cards, if you take that out, there's a secret packet underneath, and the packet says under no circumstances open this.
Oh my god, that's so
packet.
exciting. What's
And,
in it?
Asbestos.
Asbestos.
I don't actually know what's in it. All I know is I heard about one group of people who played through the whole game together, completed the game, and then ceremonially burnt that.
Oh, they didn't even open it.
They never opened it.
What? No, that makes me so mad.
Yeah. It told you not to open it.
No, I hate that.
I feel like it would probably be something bad. Like if I was a game designer,
Yeah.
I would want to like punish
You put
the game players.
stinky bombs in there.
Yeah. It's like, oh, now you're going to have an extra goblin every battle.
Oh, that kind of bad.
Yeah.
Not something that actually hurts your real life.
No, not like cyanide or shit.
Anthrax. We told you. We told you.
So do you think you're going to be zooming to the end of... Apparently Better Call Saul has one of the most spectacular final few episodes ever.
Really? Well, I don't know. I'm going to try watch the whole thing. I'm enjoing it.
Yeah.
Halfway through season 2. I'd say it's picked up as well.
I am interested in the... because it begins... If you've not seen any of it, each series, each episode, I think each series begins with like a flash forward to Walter White's lawyer, Saul Goodman, after the events of Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
but
when
then
he's
most of it happens before.
On the run, got a new identity.
Yeah, and I quite like the idea. I don't actually know what happens, but I kind of imagine that the final few episodes will be set in the future rather than set in the past.
I just don't know. I simply don't know.
I don't know.
Have you watched El Camino, the companion movie?
I have watched El Camino, and I thought it was quite good, and I quite enjoyed it. Obviously, is not necessary. Friend of mine, my housemate, really disliked it, and said it sort of not ruined Breaking Bad, but just kind of was just totally unnecessary. She found it really frustrating. I agree it was unnecessary, but I thought it was a good, fun time.
It follows
Yeah, I
Jesse,
liked
right?
it.
It's like a direct
Oh, have
sequel.
you not seen?
I've not seen it.
I think it's a good fun time, and there's a very cheeky small spoilers for El Camino. There is a flashback to Jesse and Walt, and it's quite lovely seeing them together again.
Oh, well, I was surprised. I rewatched. Did you, when you first watched Breaking Bad, were you on Walt's side? Like, were you rooting for Walter White?
I don't know. I think that the sort of anti-hero question is quite interesting. The thing everyone says is like, oh, it's all these like stupid men who watch Breaking Bad and Scarface and Goodfellas and stuff, and they're like, yeah.
Is this what people say?
Yeah, and apparently, like, Vince Gilligan kept making Walter White do more and more unforgivable things so people would stop siding with him. And he was, like, surprised at how much evil stuff he could make Walt do, and people still seem to, like, love Walt and care about Walt.
Yeah, because I was shocked when the first time I watched it, I was
Yeah.
on his side almost the entire way.
Yeah.
This second time, I was like, he was an asshole by, like, season 2. To the point of being like,
Oh, yeah,
what is wrong with you?
How I kind of feel is like...
Like, thoroughly dislikable.
He's obviously a bad person and doing
Yeah.
bad things, and it's not forgivable. But I also kind of feel like you can root for bad people in fiction, and that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. In the way that, I mean, this is a very odd comparison, but like in Final Destination, I think some people are like, woo, when the people are getting killed because
Oh,
they're
yeah,
there
yeah,
to
yeah.
see
And
death
that
kill these people.
when that little kid in the bow tie gets crushed by the
Right.
piano. I
But
was
then
like,
it's not just you might feel like that when there's like an arsehole getting killed in Final Destination, but quite often they're not arseholes, they're just normal people. But you can still be like, yeah, let's see the bad thing happen. And so I guess like, yeah, I kind of was on Walt's side, but it's not that I was like, oh, if this was real, Walt would be like, I would forgive Walt and I'd be like, free Walter White at his trial.
Yeah.
Like he's a like a narcissist, a murderer, basically, all these things. But I don't know. I think people think about it in two kind of binary ways.
Because I just found it weird rewatching it and then thinking Gus is actually a better guy than him, even though Gus is set up as the villain. Whereas I'm like, Gus actually doesn't do as bad as stuff. Or
I mean,
I can't
remember the details.
you see less of Gus, I guess.
So yeah, Gus is the sort of like the kind of criminal mastermind who owns this big drug.
And he's super slick and very businesslike and fair and rule heavy and wants everything calm.
Yes.
But then obviously he's had to deal with really volatile gangsters and stuff. But it feels like Walter White is pushing all of the anarchy throughout the series rather than Gus.
The issue is that like Gus feels way more like psychopathic because you have someone who's like very corporate.
What's the difference between sociopathic and psychopathic?
I don't know.
Okay.
There's a difference, and I occasionally find out and then immediately forget. But but he's like, maybe a sociopathic is actually
he's cold and emotionless.
Yeah, so that when he does something
it's not vindictive.
that like kills people, end up dying, it's like you don't get the impression that he's like going home and feeling bad about it or whatever. There's a cold corporate nature behind kind of killings and that kind of thing.
Like, I had
feels
to do
so
it.
much more like brutal and scary and horrible somehow.
Dispassionate.
And even though Walt is like a bad guy and probably acting on, more animal instincts and that kind of thing sometimes that are, you could argue are worse in some ways, he's always very human. And you can always sort of see and feel the emotion behind things, and you can see him feel bad about things. You can feel him struggle with things.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to connect to someone who's a human like that, even if, like, totting up all the totals, that human figure does less bad stuff.
That's interesting. What does that say? I feel like I'm more on Gus's team.
You're on Gus's team.
Is that a problem?
That is a problem.
Emotionally disconnected.
Because he's the baddie.
Shit.
I would like you to read, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's called like We Are something 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 brackets I Am Raoul Moat. And it's the a first person account of the serial killer Raoul Moat's rampage around, I think, Manchester, which if you're of a certain age in the UK, you will remember. He just like killed a load of people and there was a huge police standoff. And I read that book and it's kind of amazing, and also basically asks you to put yourself in the shoes of this serial killer basically and feel empathy for him, and which you do because he's like, been forgotten by the system, and like obviously doesn't forgive his acts.
Joker.
No, it's not like a Joker at all. It's way, way smarter and more interesting than Joker. And it does this really cool thing where it's in the first person, and everything in the book is from his point of view, based on reality, based on what actually happened. But he was kind of mad and kind of delusional. So every time he says something which he believes to be the case, or wants us to think is the case, that isn't true, there's then square brackets afterwards saying the actual truth. So you're reading it all from his perspective, but then anytime he says anything false, the book is like, and this is what actually happened.
There's a little footnotes to be like correction of the author's interpretation.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And he like wrote diaries and stuff, so it's like all based on like people know what he was actually thinking.
Well, this sounds great.
Yeah, really, really good.
Raoul Moat.
It's called "You Could Do Something Amazing with Your Life." Brackets. You are Raoul Moat. That's the other thing. I said it was first person. That's actually untrue. It's actually in second person.
Okay.
The whole book is you are Raoul Moat. You are walking along. You are thinking.
Oh, how
and
weird.
it to the point where it's like it's not just saying like, can you empathize with this person's perspective? It's like, this is you. You are living these events.
Ah, that's weird.
It is weird.
Almost feels like a guided meditation, but in the mind of a serial killer.
Yeah. Oh, and if anyone does read it, Cards on the Table, I didn't finish it. But that's not because it's not a great book. It's because I don't finish books. And that's not because I don't enjoy the books. It's because I'm mentally unwell. And that's not actually true. And it's not that I'm mentally unwell.
And then in the square brackets below is, actually, this is not the case. Sam just got tired and ate a cake.
I got too fat. I couldn't
Because
turn the
you're
pages.
fat.
Because I'm fat. Nice. It would be so nice if I imagine that if we did have people sort of listening and writing in, they'd be like, oh, Sam, I can't believe how mean and rude Luke was to you. And I'd feel really good about that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of strangers standing up for me.
I love you so much.
I know.
I really do.
I know.
And the fatter you get, the more there is of you.
Yeah.
So in some ways, that's a plus for me.
The fatter I get, the more I am dominating our relationship weight-wise.
Yeah. Certainly on the camera.
It's Mission Impossible week
Ugh.
in Fleapit Towers.
Yeah, it is.
Luke, which Mission Impossible films had you seen before last week?
None.
0.
This is my first experience with Mission Impossible.
I think I'd seen the first 3.
Okay.
And then none others. And then this week I watched the last 2 movies, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and then Final Reckoning. So do you know the story about the names of the latest 2 Mission Impossibles?
No.
So they released penultimate film, Mission Impossible 7, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
This makes so much more sense.
It tanked, or didn't tank, but it did much less well than expected in the box office, and they believe part of the reason is because it's a Part 1. No one wanted to see a Part 1.
Yeah, of course.
So they changed its name as much as they could just to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and then Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, which is the film that's just come out, the final installment, they changed to Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're not wrong about that Part 1 thing. I remember when the Matrix sequel came out, and that was they didn't say it was Part 1. But it ends on a to be continued. And I was furious.
Really?
Yeah, I was so angry. I was like, what, you've just given me half
Matrix Reloaded ended
Yeah,
on
Matrix Reloaded ends with the to be continued. And I was just in the cinema like, what the fuck? I was so angry. Because I knew it was going to be like 6 years or something before they make the next one.
Right.
Maybe, or 2. I don't know.
How annoyed were you when you actually watched it?
I didn't go and watch it in the end. I got too angry. And then I heard it was terrible.
Yeah, it's not great.
Because Reloaded's not bad.
Reloaded's got some fun bits and pieces. So, what was your what did you think Mission Impossible was?
I had no idea. I thought it was like James Bond but American.
I mean, that's basically, if you had to describe it in 4 words,
Yeah.
like that's not bad, is it? Let's hear Luke's opinion of the final installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, despite the fact he's never seen any of the others.
Yeah, I'm going to say you should probably watch the other movies. I had a terrible time.
Really?
I hated this movie. I can't explain. It felt like I'd been invited to my friend's school reunion.
Yeah.
And then my friend had immediately abandoned me to go and talk to all his old schoolmates. And they just talked about events that I wasn't there for.
Yeah.
And then right at the end of the party, they were like, oh shit, Luke's here. We should probably do something new.
Right.
And then I was like, oh yeah, this is getting good. And then it's finished.
Yeah.
And it was so many flashbacks.
Right.
And characters who just popped up and were like, hey, it's Luther. We're supposed to care about them. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
And so it just seems like a bunch of people come on screen for like 2 minutes, do a cameo, then fuck off for the rest of the movie, maybe popping up here and there. It's a mess. And also, they literally show scenes from the old movies like 7 or 8 times.
There's a lot, especially in the first hour. There's a lot of like nostalgic flashbacks to past movies.
why?
And not even most of the time, it's not for plot reasons. It's
No.
just like, look how far we've come.
They're literally like, do you remember when
These
he
30
gassed
years.
the thing? And then it's a flashback to the scene where he gasses the people. And then it's like, and
Yeah.
remember he's got the mask? Ooh. I'm like, I don't know what these things are. I don't even know. I didn't even know who the bad guy was in this. It was like the
Yeah.
internet. Tom Cruise versus the internet. There's not like a villain. It's like it's a computer kind of. And then, yeah, it was, I felt so old. In this movie. I felt like I was like a granddad thrown in to watch like Avengers 7 or something.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep track. And the final scene was wicked. The like final set piece is really, really good. And I was like, this is great. But I'd sat through 3 hours of being lost and like feeling like I was just being ignored at a party.
Yeah.
And then also all the dialogue's fucking stupid. It was like every conversation there, they go, you're not seriously gonna do what I think you're gonna do. And he's like, oh, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And then he does it. And you're like, well, there's no drama because I knew he would do it because that's what he always does.
Yeah,
And there was
yeah,
like 5 scenes where that's the that's what it is. And then it's the president being like, oh my God, you're not gonna do this time, are you? And he's like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. And they go, oh, he did it. Oh. And then, yeah, it's a piece of crap. And also, I genuinely couldn't actually keep track of what was a flashback and what was happening now.
Right.
There's a scene at the end where it's really crucial to work out whose guards are in control of what. And there's like a flashback to one of them taking someone out, but you can't work out whether he's seen it or he's imagining it.
Okay.
And then you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. There was definitely a scene towards the end where there's like 3 sort of teams of people, and then some people come in with like guns and start shooting people, and I'm like, which team are these guys on? And I don't think it's supposed to. You're not supposed to know.
No,
It felt like you were supposed to know.
it should be. It's complicated. I mean, it reminded me when we watched Black Bag, and we were like, are we too thick to understand Black Bag? And it's more understandable than Black Bag.
God, yeah. I mean, are we too thick to understand Mission Impossible?
Well, it was very confusing. And also some people are like, oh, it's not about the story, it's about the stunts.
Yeah.
The stunts at the end are amazing. There's
Right.
one scene where the stunts are amazing, but then there's a stupid scene where they're underwater and they're like, the pressure. He has to deal with the pressure, but you can't show pressure.
Right.
Or like someone overcoming pressure. So it's just him in the water going like, and then he's just fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, I guess. And that scene goes on for like an hour.
Yeah.
Ugh. And also all they needed for that scene to work would be have someone on some intercom explaining what's going on.
Right.
Which I've actually seen in real life. Have you seen that Red Bull stunt where the guy jumped from space?
Yeah.
The highest parachute ever.
Felix Baumgartner.
Yeah. And then the whole... when they're commentating on it, they're like, as long as he doesn't fall into a spin, he'll be fine. Okay, he's spinning. He's spinning wildly. He's completely unconscious.
Oh my God.
But having that, I was like,
I'd forgotten
this is a way... I'm like, they just needed some guy being like, explaining what's going on inside Tom's body right now. And I was like, him just like thrashing around in the water for a bit is not exciting to me.
Well, I would say, I think, I'll give my feelings on the movie in a sec, but I think in a big way, the behind the scenes featurettes or whatever they're called about how Tom Cruise does all the crazy stunts in the film are almost certainly more incredible, more amazing, more nail-biting than the film itself.
Yes. But then I'm like, why are we making the whole movie? Why don't we make the movie an hour and a half? Because this is where I'm like, Jackie Chan rules. Jackie Chan, comparative
He's packing
action
stunts in.
Yeah, and also it's like his movies are like hour 20 minutes.
Right.
The storyline is also like pants all the time, but you're like, it does not overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
And also, it's sick. Jackie Chan is the fucking man. He's better than Tom Cruise.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, different. They're doing different things.
Yeah, it's true, but I like Jackie Chan. I like Tom Cruise
Yeah.
as well. I do like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise he looks fantastic.
He does look incredible for the fact he's 60 and doing these things.
He can run
amazing.
fast. I felt older than him watching it.
Yeah,
I was like, Tom Cruise knows what's going on in this movie.
yeah.
I don't.
I'll tell you what, I felt fatter than Tom Cruise, that's for sure. I was like, oh, he's eaten 30 years more, like, worth of food more than me. And you couldn't tell.
Apparently running is a big thing in these movies.
Oh yeah, Tom Cruise running is just a big thing in Tom Cruise movies. He runs with this incredibly straight posture. It's totally bizarre.
It's like he's sitting down still.
Yeah, it's very odd. Apparently he's like runners have analysed his gait, and he's actually a very good runner.
They're saying it's the perfect gait.
I watched Dead Reckoning Part 1. So you're, in summary, crap. It's crap. Don't watch it.
Yeah, but this
It's
is.
crap.
I should also say this is from the perspective of someone
Who's
thrown
never
in.
seen any other Mission
exactly.
Impossible
Yeah,
films.
so I don't want to pretend like that wasn't a factor.
Yeah. That is a good clarification. So my perspective was I think probably the first 3 Mission Impossible films when I was a kid, and from my memory thought they were fine, but not massively my thing. I do remember like not really understanding them, and a problem I have in movies quite a lot is something you get quite a lot in Mission Impossible films and in other stuff is when they deem plot not to be important, they'll kind of gloss over it. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, we need to get to the solid state injunction to remove the flapial phalange in
What is
order
this
to
mission?
and then you're just supposed to go, okay, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
But I've always sat there like, wait, what the fuck is happening? What are you talking about? So I've always struggled with the way movies like Mission Impossible do things, where the whole thing is kind of just set up for stunts, and they have a plot.
Does James Bond do that?
I think James Bond tends to have, I don't know.
It's a bit hit and miss, James Bond.
I think James Bond tends to have a slightly simpler narrative of like, here is a bad guy, we need to stop the bad guy.
Because I'll tell you what, I didn't understand Casino Royale.
Right.
I knew they were playing poker. I didn't understand why people were dying over poker.
I think I didn't understand Quantum of Solace, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I went into Dead Reckoning Part 1, not sure what I would think of it. I started watching it. I was like, this is not a good film, was my first thought. I was like, this dialogue is really cheesy, it's really bad. Most of the time, it's like talking and exposition and that kind of stuff, and it's not interesting.
It's also not as like James Bond, I would say, often has like some funny scenes in it that are actually pretty funny.
Right.
On average, not every James Bond film, but most of them hit the mark. Whereas I felt like the funny scenes in this, I was like, this isn't
There's like
funny.
2 attempted jokes in each Mission Impossible films, and they're shit.
Yeah, they ain't good.
And so the previous one I was like, this isn't great. I'm not invested in these characters. I don't really care. This plot is both like it's unbelievable and convoluted and all of these things. However, it has some really amazing set pieces, and I think when you know that it's all done like practically, Tom Cruise has his own stunts, they're very exciting. If you can just turn off your brain, which I find very hard to do.
Wow.
Then you can enjoy them. And in Dead Reckoning Part 1, there's 2 incredible stunts. There's one where Tom Cruise jumps off a cliff in a motorcycle, which is really good. No, Part 1.
Oh, okay.
Dead Reckoning, not Final Reckoning. And there's one where he's like escaping a train that's falling off.
I think
a
I
cliff.
could drive a motorcycle off a cliff.
And I mean, you should watch. You should watch the behind the scenes clip of it on YouTube. It's pretty wild. And then there's this really amazing scene where he's like trying to escape from, this train. And those two scenes are so brilliant, so over the top, so silly, so mad, that I kind of forgave the film for all of the bullshit before it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This is fun. It didn't need to be as long as it did.
It's kind of like going to a roller coaster and there's a really long queue.
Yeah, a really long queue.
And then it's a 3-minute thrill ride.
Yeah,
and what a thrill ride.
And the queue, they're like, you need the queue to get you excited for the roller coaster. And I'm like, I don't think I need the queue.
I think I can just go on the roller coaster.
I think just show me the roller coaster.
I think I can go on YouTube.
And it made me realize that I think the other thing I find hard to get into is these sort of like worldwide espionage adventures where they're like, we gotta go over here and we gotta deliver the thing to Uzbekistan and we gotta find this guy, and like the thrillers that have excited me in my life are like small, grounded, and I know this isn't trying to be that, but like if it is trying to make me excited as a viewer, and a lot of the time it is failing, because the films that make me excited are little, scary, small, films like I don't know, Blue Ruin. That's maybe a bit of a niche example. Or
what about Misery? Have you seen Misery?
Misery,
that's pretty exciting.
Or Green Room.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just like, fuck, we're in a place, this is real, these are the people,
French Connection.
They're in trouble.
Yeah.
We need to get out of this situation. I doesn't add... Nothing is added for me when it's like, ooh, now we're in France and we're doing this. It just feels like they're kind of going, ooh, isn't this fun? And they're showing off.
This is one of my notes. This is about the 2.5 hour bit where I say, why are we now in South Africa? I don't want to be in South Africa. I want to be at home.
That's a good note. So that's how I felt about Mission Impossible 7, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, brackets part 1, sort of. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning part 2, the final reckoning, that's just come out this week. I felt every single thing I felt about the previous one, but more. The first hour and 15 minutes.
Producers would say a success.
This film is an hour and 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's very long.
Yeah.
I would say the first hour and 15 minutes of this latest film is absolutely rubbish.
Yeah.
I think there is almost nothing of any interest or any worth whatsoever. If you are watching it from the perspective of loving the series and enjoying some of the nostalgic look backs or whatever, then fine, maybe there's something to it. But an hour and 15 minutes in, I was like, this is shit. I thought it was absolute rubbish. However, exactly in the last film, it leads to two, in my perspective, like brilliant nail-biting set pieces. There is the first one, which is underwater in a submarine, which Luke didn't like. I get that to some degree because it's a lot harder we don't feel the danger. I won't give away what the later scene is, but it's an aerial scene in the air.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, these guys are in the air. Oh, this, and especially when you've seen like behind the scenes and you know that he basically does his own stunts and most.
No, but you can also tell just by the footage from it that it's real.
Some of it looks like a footage
like,
from one of those
shit.
like Red Bull clips.
Yeah, he's literally getting fucked by the air pressure. Of course it's real.
And the underwater one is a bit like, oh, I guess we're, a mile under the sea, but are we really, like, what's going on? So it's harder to kind of, you're not getting on board in the same way. And in the same way as like the best Jackie Chan stuff where you're like, fuck, he's hanging off the back of that bus. This is real.
Yeah.
You don't get involved in it that way, but it is really claustrophobic and intense. And you know what it made me think of? It made me think of things like Gravity.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you watch Gravity, you are not going, Sandra Bullock's really in space. But it is terrifying, claustrophobic, or I suppose like agoraphobic or something like that. is a really great tense scene. I mean, gets totally unbelievable. They say to and you know, spoilers that Tom Cruise doesn't die halfway through the film. But they say to Tom like, oh yeah, with all this gear, you might have a chance to maybe make it, but you'll probably die. And you're like, okay, I can barely believe that, but maybe. And then halfway through the scene, he sheds all the gear, and he's just like a guy swimming 2 miles underwater. And I'm like, this is... I never have been more confident that this person would just be fully dead in this situation.
No, not with Tom Cruise's
so stupid,
roided super bod.
But still really...
I liked when he was floating
really
up to the
exciting.
surface.
Yeah. I guess sort of spoilers, but anyway, hard to is it hard to spoil this film? I don't know. And then there's this, and then that is then topped by this aerial scene later on, which is just incredible, and that's one of the final scenes, and then it ends on this sort of really cheesy, moving speech, and I was at the cinema with my girlfriend Laura, and we were watching it together, and we both felt quite moved at the end. We were like, fucking hell, Tom Cruise is kind of, you know, whatever, you know, he's obviously mad. You know, he's a Scientologist, like, he's a weird guy, he's got some problems, whatever, but he's also amazing. And watching him do these things is crazy, and it did really, like, I've just found myself more recently becoming moved by people's creativity and people's commitment to mad things. And I was like, this is mad. The fact that you've made this 3-hour long film at the end of a 30-year franchise of insane, basically shit films where occasionally you do something absolutely like amazing. And I was watching an interview with Christopher McQuarrie, the director, and he was basically being like, no one has ever attempted anything ever in film or anything like it on the scale that we're doing it. And also he was like, and they may never do again. And I sort of believed it in that moment because AI and CGI and stuff is getting so good. It does seem believable that we'll get to a point where people will be like, oh no, why would you ever do anything like that? Because you just don't.
No, I don't think that'll ever die. There's such like a live stunt work has like such a it's why Jackie Chan is so good. If you watch anything from any of the stunts he did in like the 80s in Hong Kong, they're like you sort of instinctively know it's real.
Yeah.
Or it's like they're actually kicking this guy in the face and then jumping off the like burning building while he's on fire.
Yeah.
And then flying a helicopter into him.
But we're getting to the point where it will become completely indistinguishable.
Well, I feel
and
like
when a company is like, we can get this AI to do it for free, or we can spend hundreds of millions. Like the only thing, and to be fair, it does help with the marketing of the film that they can market. They can be like, hey, look at Tom Cruise actually doing this.
Yeah, I think it'll be two different. It'll be like two different types of movies because they still do. There's lots of like practical stunt people out there, like all the guys who did a Raid,
right? Yeah,
which was huge, and that was like what the Filipino movie. It's like out of nowhere, suddenly this massive film in the West.
Taiwanese, maybe.
I can't remember. But anyway, small movie industry from where it came from.
Yeah,
absolutely captivating action movie, and it's because the stunts are just so strong. Or John Wick is another one. Yeah, it's like mostly practical.
I heard an interesting fact about John Wick the other day, which is that the sort of long shots that it's become famous for, where it's like just like holding on the action and it's not like quick cuts. You're like seeing it all happen.
Yeah,
a big part of that is that the budget was so small they couldn't afford loads of crew and loads of takes. So they were like, yeah, we're just going to hold the camera here and you're just going to have to do it. And it became like the best thing about the film.
Yeah,
that it's like, oh fuck, you realize when you watch something like John Wick, and I suppose something like Mission Impossible, where you see these things really happening, that when you're watching like an action scene in a Marvel film or whatever, it's a lot of like
yeah.
punch.
And the spectacle is like it's
Yeah.
somehow it's like in the story it's way bigger, but it feels way less impactful.
Yeah.
Whereas like you watch Jackie Chan fight two men, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, Jackie.
Yeah.
But that's interesting with the wide shots because that's how they used to film them. That's what Jackie Chan used to film a lot of his films. Is like one long wide shot,
Right,
And it's
yeah.
just so you see all the stunt work
Yeah.
happening. So you're almost watching like a play, do you know, rather than a movie. Whereas Hollywood always do these quick cuts that make everything look fake. It's like you instinctively just don't feel the impact of it.
There's a sort of comedy equivalent to that, which is a film called Jacques Tati's Playtime, where it's like huge wide shots with loads of characters all doing mad things in different corners of the screen, and you just kind of see it all play out, and it's just so different to this sort of like reverse shot, dialogue heavy kind of Judd Apatow style comedy that you get these days. It's like we're going to watch this comedy play out from afar. So yeah, I literally went from being like, this is one of the most miserable cinema experiences ever, to having like my jaw on the floor and my eyes welling up and just having such a fun time. So like, you said the film's crap. Like, you're not wrong. It is crap, but it's also amazing. It is both of those things. I think if you love Mission Impossible, if you love that kind of thing, you'll probably watch it and overall have a good time. If you're expecting to be mentally stimulated in any way, if you're expecting it to make sense, if you're expecting to care about the characters, if you're expecting it to be sort of unique in any way apart from its stunt work, like, you won't be. It's crap. But I had a fun time, and I'm glad I went. And yes, although it did make a bit more sense to me because I'd seen the one before, like, not much. I was like, there's a couple of things I was like, okay, yeah, I know what that is. But it's so, the plot is like, there's an evil AI. The entire first movie is, we need to get a key to stop the evil AI. And then that's it. And then the entire second movie is, we need to use the key to stop the evil AI. And no saying whether they managed to or not. But yeah, I find, like, it's not my thing at all. Like, action movies and spy movies and this kind of thing, really, really not my thing. And I probably wouldn't have gone and seen it if it wasn't for the podcast. But I will remember some of those stunts for a very long time, and everything else in the movie I've forgotten already.
Yeah.
But it didn't, for you, the
I wouldn't say I felt emotional at the end.
no,
I was
that's
like,
fair.
thank fuck I enjoyed that final scene. This is what people... because also from my perspective, I was like, I don't know why anyone likes these movies.
Yeah.
And then the end scene hit, and I was like, okay, if they got something like this in every one.
To be honest,
Hell
though,
yeah.
I watched Police Story with some friends the other day. I think it's Police Story, where he's hanging off the
Police
bus
Story's a
and
big one.
he does that crazy stunt at the end where he injures himself really badly.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of in a way felt similar about that film. Like, there is a better and bigger like action to movie ratio.
Oh, it's
But
how much glass they throw themselves through.
Yeah,
That's
but I
just
still
so
feel like in
uncomfortable.
that movie, most of the time I was like, yeah, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
a
there was like,
bad police
you know,
thriller.
6 minutes in total of like jaw-dropping stuff.
Yeah, the final like half hour is like one fight scene or something throughout
Right,
them all. It goes
right.
on forever.
Yeah.
I think most of Jackie Chan's movies are kind of like that.
But it's interesting. I'm curious now to see if there are movies, kind of action movies, I suppose, where it does actually blend. Like, can you think of a film that is like an amazing kind of action thriller and you're like marveling at the stunt work and all those things, and it is a good film in its own right on top of that, and has characters that you're engaged in and interested in and care about?
Well, there must be something like that. That'd be so stupid.
a film I haven't seen,
Yeah.
but I feel like I've heard people suggest maybe is Aliens. Is that just
Aliens
just
is really
good
good.
action?
It's a good action film. I would say, like, yeah, there are more. Well, yeah, no, you do care about Ripley actually in like a proper way, but it's got such a kind of 80s cheese to it as well
Right.
that I don't know if it would.
Okay.
Like the commandos in it are like the biggest meatheads. They're like, let's get up, Marine, fucking hell yeah! And they go and shoot a bunch of aliens. But no, there is some like Sigourney Weaver's actually really good in it, like from an acting perspective.
Yeah.
And there's like, yeah, maybe Alien. I was actually thinking The Matrix, the first one.
The Matrix.
Close to, in terms of like engaging storyline that actually does track and is like,
And
as
very
much
cool
as it's
action.
silly, it's like you're invested in it, I would say.
Yeah.
It's got really great action scene, and they use was it Yen Wu Ping, who is the fucking bad boy of like.
Oh
fight
yeah,
scenes.
yeah.
And they made all the
Yen
actors do
Wu-ping.
all the stunts themselves.
I obviously don't know the different martial arts people. That's probably the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Matrix.
And that really, people did love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. It was The Matrix.
Nice.
It was The Matrix. Should we do spoilers?
Yeah. I mean, I yeah. Let's do
Dun-na,
spoilers.
dun-na. Oh no, that's the wrong movie.
Dun, 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 dun,
That's it.
dun, dun, dun,
That's
dun.
it.
They barely played that song.
They really did.
They only
Yeah.
properly played it during the credits, and I think it's because it's like quite a cheesy song, and it now is like takes itself quite seriously as a film.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have liked to have that song more. Spoilers for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
This isn't so much a
Starting
spoiler,
now.
but he works for the IMF.
Yes, he works
What's the IMF
for the
to you?
The IMF is a fictional organization called the Impossible Mission Force.
Okay, because I have a degree in international development, so I thought the IMF was the International Monetary Fund,
Right.
which is a huge global bank. And I was like, why the fuck is this accountant going ham on everyone?
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that's Impossible Mission Force.
Impossible Mission Force.
Nice.
It's,
Okay.
We live in the shadows. We live and die in the shadows to protect those we hold close and those we never meet.
Yes, they said that lots. They said
say
that
that.
lots.
They say that like 5 times
Before they get blown up with... Yeah, I didn't know what that was referencing.
Yeah.
Like, is this the IMF's fucking slogan?
How did you feel about when they go to fucking Greenland or whatever it is, and they find this like random old dude who's apparently from the first film, and his like Inuit wife?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, we're part of your team now. We're part of your team to stop the guy." And what did you also think about the guy? The young black guy who was like a policeman who like joined their team and then seemed to have no role at all for the entire film.
Oh, he like hangs out with the nuke guys at the end.
I don't know. It's like
For a bit. He's
wh-
like
wh- when-
guarding the
when
French
when the
chick.
old guy and the Inuit woman are like defusing the bomb.
Yeah, he hangs
He's
out
like,
with them.
I'm gonna hang out with you guys
Because there's nothing for
This-
me to do.
Yeah.
As
He
has
literally
been
says
going on for the past 3 hours.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was... Yeah, I didn't even clock how he came into the movie.
Really silly.
He was suddenly like, at that scene, I was like, oh yeah, who's that guy?
Yeah.
He is in it. But he was guarding the French girl at the beginning? The French assassin?
Yeah.
And
'Cause
he
he's
just goes along with
He's
them?
like works for the American military or FBI or something. I don't know. It's dumb. And
It's like how many nukes actually came up in this movie.
yeah.
That guy has so many nukes. The bad guy. He uses
Gabriel.
a nuke to kill one man.
Does he?
Yeah, Luther.
Oh.
He's like,
Yeah.
but it's also like, you could have just shot him in bed. There was no need to make him disarm a nuke before he died. And
Yeah,
like
why
a
did you make
huge
him do
waste
that?
of your nuke.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes, there are too many nukes in this movie. Is
Too
this
many
product
nukes.
placement?
And that's saying a lot because Luke like nuke.
Huh?
There's not many films where Luke says too many nukes.
Too many nukes.
Usually,
Too many nukes.
Usually, I look through Luke's notes just to check them before we record the podcast, and he's like, "Not enough nukes."
My major criticism of the snail, Memoirs of a Snail.
Oh, Memoir of a Snail.
Not a single
Not
nuke.
enough nukes.
I did like Milchek from Severance makes an appearance.
Milchek, he's good. He's good. I mean,
He's the same.
he is very much playing Milchek.
It's Milchek is in the submarine room.
And it's now clear that he is going to have to be Milchek in every movie ever.
Yeah, but he is great. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
I would have loved it if this was in a shared universe with Severance,
Right.
and Milchek was, this is just one of the rooms he has to go in and deal
Yeah.
with stuff. I also wrote in one of my notes, I wish I was in Severance, so my other version was watching this movie instead of me. This is before we got to the airplane scene.
I was, I was telling you before we recorded this podcast that I did a really bad gig last night.
Yeah.
I was doing it in my character, and I was going to do a joke about how I'd seen the latest Mission Impossible film and was surprised to see that they'd given Tom Cruise a really impossible mission this time, and it was to stop the Israel-Palestine conflict, and claim that was what the last Mission Impossible film was about. But when they hated all my tried and tested material, I thought maybe not swing the untested Israel-Palestine. I was going to go Israel. Palestine conflict.
I love it. I love it. And it's that scene of and Tom Cruise is stuck between the French girl with the gun and the black guy with the gun, and he's like, oh.
Right. Yeah. If you have not seen me do comedy before, do not take that as a sort of indication of what my comedy is.
Nah, it's the best joke I've ever written. I also had in my notes, why do all the messages keep exploding?
Yeah.
Have these secret agents not heard of WhatsApp? Delete message. It's all encrypted, you fucking morons.
Oh no.
Don't blow up my phone.
But the entity will get there. The entity. It was not. They had a bit of a message about misinformation on the internet.
Yeah,
I thought that was nice.
Internet's bad.
Don't believe everything you read online.
Oh, that's one scene I liked.
That was barely a joke, and yet the best joke of the film.
Oh no, I thought my favorite bit was when that big muscle man in the submarine tries to kill him when he's on the running machine, and he puts him in a hold and starts kicking him in the face, and he says, "You spend too much time on the internet," while he's just kicking him in the face.
Is that not the bit I was referring to? Is there two bits where they say that?
Maybe I wasn't listening to you then.
Yeah.
I need to work on my podcasting technique.
It's all right. As long as we both remain bad listeners.
Yes.
I
didn't even tell you my Liverpool story.
Oh, yeah? What's your Liverpool story?
Should I say it now? I don't have anything else to say about Mission Impossible.
Is it that you're behind the terror attack?
No. It's not far off though.
Okay.
So I stayed I had gigs in Liverpool, and I had to buy a hotel, and I stayed in the worst
hot water comedy.
No, slaughterhouse comedy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Slaughterhouse.
But I stayed in the worst hotel ever.
Yeah.
I didn't read any of the reviews, and I've looked at the reviews since I left, and they're all 1 star.
Literally baffles me anytime anyone does something and it's shit, and then they're like, and then I found out I had really bad reviews. I've not done anything since I was 17 years old that I haven't checked the reviews of first.
Well, this is a lesson learnt.
Yeah.
It was bad. Anyway, I won't go into details about how gross the hotel was. Point is, I wanted to leave the hotel.
Have you got big bugs?
I hope not. If I do, you do too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hope you don't.
But I wanted to stay out of the hotel for as long as possible,
Yeah.
so I went for a walk.
Why was it so bad? Tell me why it was so bad.
So smaller than there was like a mattress on. What do you call the bottom bit of the bed? The frame of the bed.
The bed frame.
So it was a single mattress,
Yeah.
but an extra small bed frame.
Okay.
So half the mattress is hanging off the side.
Right.
And like the sheets are really itchy and whatever. The curtain is like blinds, like the slitted blinds, but they can't shut.
Okay.
So they're just open the whole time. So there's
Yeah.
no blinds, there's no window, there's no curtains. And then opposite us is a construction site, which
Yeah.
left their industrial floodlights on 24/7. So at
Right.
nighttime, it's just bright white light coming
Wow. And you didn't complain and go and be like, hey, this is not tenable.
in. No, I actually didn't. It was too shit to even look at.
Yeah.
And then there was carpet on the floor, and it was wet.
Oh my God.
The
Right.
whole carpet was
Yeah.
wet. And then next door to me was this Eastern European couple who had sex all the time for 2 days straight. And they were watching porn and fucking each other. And all I could hear every time I was at home was kurva, 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 and then slapping sounds.
Was that his name?
No, I think kurva is like, it means like fuck in
Fuck.
in some place in Eastern Europe.
That's what I shout
don't
when I'm
know.
having sex. I go,
Yeah.
fuck, fuck, oh, fuck,
That's what it was.
oh, fuck.
And then they had a kitchen, which they told me was fully stocked. It didn't have an oven. It didn't have
Fully
any.
stocked.
It didn't have any
Full of
cutlery.
what?
Had no cutlery.
Okay.
No plates. Nothing. The fridge stank. There was moldy food in all the cupboards.
Okay. I'm really confused. I mean, I am loving this, but this has something to do with Mission Impossible? This
I
great
went to
story.
watch Mission Impossible in Liverpool.
Okay, right.
To stay out of the house.
Yeah.
But also on my adventures, while I was trying to stay out of this house, I went into the center of Liverpool, and there was a protest going on. And these people were like, it was like Palestine sort of gay rights, all sort of lefty stuff. And they were like,
Gay rights in Palestine.
well, that's what it was. That was what it was.
Sorry to tell you guys, I think you've
Look.
got bigger fish to fry right now.
Anyway, and they were making speeches.
Legalize gay marriage in Palestine. That's what's holding them back.
They were making all these speeches, and I just stopped to watch out
Yeah.
of curiosity. And then out of nowhere, these like guys turn up with like George Cross flags and Union Jacks, going, "Our streets, our home, our streets, our home. Send them back, send them back." They all like come round me, and then a photographer turns around and takes a photo of me with these two guys with flags yelling, "Send them home."
Wow, that's a very Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm
That's what
situation.
happened.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not.
But yeah, so now I'm in like, I'm
Now you've been
I'm in
pictured-
the middle of these guys with like flags.
Well, I guess it's sort of good to get in early and release your statement before the pictures of you partying with white nationalists
Yeah, yeah,
on the
yeah.
streets of Liverpool are released.
Really bad time to be doing a Nazi salute.
Is that what you were doing? An
Timing is key. Timing is everything.
key.
But yeah, that's what happened to me.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. Did you stick around to see the sort of if things kicked off?
I did for a bit. I then went and tried to speak to every journalist I could to try and tell them that I was just observing.
I'm just watching. Also mad that when you have two people on the far sides of the political spectrum like that, not that being pro-Palestine and pro-gay rights is like extreme left or whatever, but like you're so obviously just going to be two groups of people shouting at each other with not very productive. I can't imagine it ending productively.
No, I think there was a fight later.
Yeah.
They had a fight a few weeks ago, apparently. Apparently lots of far-right people were coming down and just having brawls.
Really? Liverpool.
But
Step up your game.
But apparently they're not from Liverpool, because Liverpool's like super left, so it's quite a funny place for far-right people to choose.
But these northern towns and cities have always been traditionally left-wing, but I think a lot of the reform voters and stuff, some of them are coming from the north of England, and they were people who would traditionally have been maybe even like Labour voters rather than.
Right, yeah.
I guess I know a lot are conservative voters as well, but it's I don't know. It's more complicated than left and right now. There's also racist and not racist.
Whoa.
A
I'm the
whole
not
new
racist,
dimension.
not racist far right.
I'm on the far left and a racist.
Where's
that's
our
not true.
representation?
I mean, to be fair, that is literally probably what a lot of these people were probably like. Their dads were working down the mine and they were protesting that, and now they're like, well, I guess I'll just have to complain about Indians.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm to me in Liverpool.
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I think that's probably a podcast.
Yeah.
Should we leave it there?
Yes.